shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Let's go, Jeff.
Here we go. Episode number 5 of Full Court Press, also known as FCP on YSN. You can follow us on Twitter at FCPYSN or on Facebook, Jeff Rizzo. Brian, what are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking a beer called Frosty, and this is from Market Garden Brewery, and that's in Ohio City, right outside of Cleveland, on the west side of Cleveland. Cool little area. We actually went there a couple weeks ago. We watched our episode 4 from Town Hall in Ohio City. It's a cool little restaurant. Not a lot of people there right now because of the mandate and stuff like that, but there was a couple breweries there. Great Lakes Breweries there and Market Garden Breweries there. They have tours and everything, and then they have a restaurant where they serve their beer. It's a really cool beer. It's a good summer beer, and I figured since it's winding down, it'll probably be our last summer beer. This is a lime wit, and a wit beer is just a wheat beer that's flavored. So it's real light and refreshing. And I got a really cool Howie's koozie. I bought hockey. This is hockey tape. Stick with the best. That's their logo. I bought so much hockey tape that I had the honor of getting a free koozie, so I'm going to use it. Hopefully somebody in Massachusetts sees this and sponsors us. So that's we
need sponsors.
We do need sponsors, and you know what? To talk about sponsors a little bit right now, I think we have enough clout in the show.
Number one show in the area.
Number one show in the area, maybe in the whole
state,
Northeast Ohio. I don't know what's
Midwest.
In Cleveland, maybe. But we're consistently getting between 1,500, 2,000 views. So if you want your company or your organization to be on the front of that, Howie's, Market Garden Brewery, Birdfish, Jamie's 721 Sports Club.
Yeah.
We need those sponsors. I think we
Who
have
wouldn't
enough.
Want us representing them?
I think there's a few people that probably wouldn't want us, sponsor or want us talking about them. But I think for the most part, if you want people to see it, we're the show to be on. We're the show to sponsor.
Well, tonight we got a great show.
Yeah.
We've got we're gonna have a new team member.
That's right.
We've got Kevin O'Connell, superintendent of McDonald, coming on.
Yeah, we wanted to look at COVID and what's going on with sports in a different
There's a new facility
perspective. Right.
being built at McDonald. We'll talk about that, and just some issues that administrators have with sports and things they have to deal with. We've got Nathan Kish coming on, who's the champion basketball coach. He played for us in
1 year.
One year, his senior year.
Yep.
Should be fun.
Yeah, a couple things going on right now that I'm a little disappointed in. One, the Pens lost. So, and your favorite team, you get them year in and year out. Nobody, you can't win a Super Bowl or you can't.
They're out.
They're out. You can't win a baseball championship, NBA. So your favorite team's probably going to lose most years. This year was difficult for me because of COVID. Mm-hmm. You're waiting forever for your favorite team to play. You get some games in, and then 4 games later they're out. So, but hockey, still playing. Baseball's playing with some issues. Basketball's playing. The other big news story is high school football. They made a decision to go to 6 games for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's just the first step, though, possibly of calling it a year.
Yeah, I know.
It's unfortunate.
I know. All right, so those are the things that's going on. Here, what's going on is our roster.
Yeah, we got a new team member.
Yeah.
He's always been part of the team.
He's a familiar voice.
Yes.
To FCP.
Yes. People don't think he exists.
He does exist. And we're going to bring him in right now.
Here he is, Brent Grosskos from Hubbard.
Hey. Yeah, buddy.
Brent exists.
I do exist.
What's up, Brent?
Brent,
Hey,
tell
guys.
us a little bit about you.
So I'm Brent from Hubbard. Known these guys my whole life, basically. So, I'm a pharmacist with Walgreens. Manage one of the local pharmacies down here in Youngstown. Married. Wife also has known these guys pretty much her whole
Graduated
life as well.
with us. We all graduated together.
Yep.
2 kids. raised and gone. Very proud of them. Both
Yeah.
kids doing well. My son Corey lives in Minneapolis. He's a biomedical engineer.
Wow.
Works for Abbott up there, working on heart valves, stuff I don't understand. Daughter is a nurse. Works down in the NICU down in Nationwide, down in Children's, down in Columbus.
Okay, so she's in the NICU, so are you still worried about COVID with her? And I know as a pharmacist, you probably see a lot of that too. Is she seeing a lot of that?
Her unit, not so much.
Right.
Yes, but absolutely, being in a hospital, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to worry about that. But the NICU, a lot of special guidelines there. A lot of only seeing one parent, stuff like that. So she's a little bit more protected than some of the other nurses who would be more front line. But yeah, always a consideration. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go just say it. You know, we grew up with Brent. We were with Brent a lot, and Brent started his family sooner than we did. So he actually had kids when we were still going out having fun. And my best story with Brent,
no.
we might get in a little bit of trouble.
We telling stories already?
We might get in a little bit of trouble with his wife. But my best story is we were going to go see a band in Pittsburgh one night. I'm living in my sister's basement, right? It's like I have my own apartment down there. We're with my buddy Tom. Brent's supposed to go out with us. Brent already has one kid at this point, right? So Brent's supposed to go out with us, right? And so he can't. He's not allowed for some reason. I don't even remember the reason. I don't even think that was Lisa at that time. But you weren't allowed to go or something like that. Was it Lisa? Was it? Do you remember?
It was Lisa.
It was Lisa.
You can say it.
So we're like 5 minutes away from going to Pittsburgh, just Tom and I, right? So we're about to hear a knock on the door. Brent's like, "I'm in. We're going." Sweet. No questions asked, right? We all get in the car. We're in Pittsburgh. We're drinking. We're watching the band. It's midnight. Brent was like, "I'm going to have a second kid." Lisa just told me, and she thinks I'm doing laundry right now.
Does Lisa know the story? No. Wow. Brian.
So okay, we're gonna get into some stories then.
So no, we're not getting into that. So the best part of the story is we decided about 1 o'clock that we're going to try to watch the Steelers the next day because there's a game Sunday morning. So we spend the night hammered. We get a hotel room. We spend the night. Smiley throws up all his chew and stuff. It's all over him when we wake up. We have no clothes. It's winter. We go to Kmart. Was it Kmart?
Absolutely.
We bought pants, jackets, hats, all Steelers stuff on them because we're going to the game. Hungover. We take a picture in one of those photo booths. It's somewhere. I think Smiley
has it.
We couldn't get tickets.
No.
Oh.
We drive back. We watch the Steelers game.
There's a big build up there.
we drive back. We watch the Steelers game at 1 o'clock. Brent goes, "I think I better call Lisa."
Because she doesn't think I'm doing laundry now.
I might have had her convinced I was still doing laundry.
It was great. That was a fun night.
So anyway, normally the first couple shows, your first guest here would bring you guys gifts.
Hold on, I got one more. No.
Yeah, you got one more. But now, yeah, I was going to give you some beer, but I'm going to keep that. Yeah. So anyway, I brought you some Guinness, Brian.
That's awesome.
Alcohol. Brian's easy. We're going to give him some Guinness.
Attaboy.
It was kind of I got a late call to get here, but I'm going to get you some land grant. I got a buddy opened a brewery down in Columbus called Land Grant.
Okay.
Okay. Doing pretty well.
Brand new.
A few years now.
Okay.
A few years now. They're in the shoe. So they're the only brewery that got it into the horseshoe. They're also the beer inside the soccer stadium down there as well.
Is that the crew? Is that still the
Columbus
crew?
The Columbus crew, yeah. So I'm gonna be going down there in a few weeks to visit Laney and run a quarter marathon with some buddies. And then we're going to go over to his brewery. So I'll bring you some good beer then.
That's awesome.
So
You'll be the
until
first
then-
guy that's drafted twice. We'll bring you right back on.
I'll have other stories. Jeff's a little bit more difficult. So I went, instead of a gift, I brought myself something to have maybe fit him in the memorabilia type thing here. Maybe get a signature from our 7th grade basketball poster.
Oh my. I still have that somewhere.
You still
too.
have that?
Oh
you
my
can get
God.
Jeff there? Look at that stuff.
Bring it to your side a little, Jeff. Yep, a little bit more. That's cool. Yep.
Yeah.
I still remember that.
Still
I have
got
it
that?
somewhere.
So what I was thinking is I'm going to get Jeff to sign this.
We should get
And
all
then-
the signatures that we can.
All we need is yours.
That's
All we
true.
need is yours, because once this thing takes off, it's my retirement plan right here.
Good luck with that. You better stick with
Come up with a
Lisa.
different plan.
You better stick with Lisa.
What do you mean?
The great thing about that picture is 7th grade, right?
7th grade.
Bob Toot has a full mustache
Oh,
in
yeah.
that
He
picture.
had a full beard in 5th grade.
Absolutely.
Well, Brent, you're now on the FCP team. So we debated what exactly was going to be your role. Are you going to be the coach of the team or the scorer?
Because you're a sneaky scorer. When we would play, you were the guy that kind of hang around the free throw line a bit. You'd hit those elbow jump shots every once. So you would get a few points here and there.
Yeah, the only way I was scoring is if they were doubling Jeff. And you got me. Nah, never much of a scorer, so I'm going to have to go coach.
All right. We need a coach. Because we're
We
done
do.
coaching. We're done
We
coaching.
do.
We're general managers
We got
at this
captain.
point.
Donnie's a captain.
Yep.
We cut our first pick.
He's gone.
He's gone. So Donnie's our captain.
And he wasn't picked up by anybody else.
No.
So
No,
we
he's
made
out of the league.
we made a mistake.
Yeah.
But we got a coach now. We got a captain. We got a couple players that we got last week,
Right.
which
Jackie's a scorer.
Jackie's a scorer. We probably just get the ball to Jackie.
Makes my job easy.
So that's it for the intro to Full Court Press. What do we
Yeah.
got tonight? What's going on
Well,
next?
we got Kevin.
Brent's
O'Connell.
coming back. Brent's
Brent's
coming back for the coach's office.
Since he always asks the first question,
Right.
we figure we'll just have him on.
That's right.
And then he can contribute because Brent also, for those of you that maybe don't know, Brent also coached with us for 15, 20 years almost.
He was
so.
the calming influence on our team.
Right. Absolutely.
You wouldn't know it by
Jackie tasked me early on. She said, keep Jeff out of jail.
yeah.
Don't let him go into the stands. For the most part, I was able to keep.
I was out of jail.
Yeah.
Never been in jail.
Yeah.
Almost went to jail that last game.
Yeah, maybe. All right.
Thank
Who else
God
is on?
everybody loves me. So we got Kevin O'Connell start the show.
Yep.
Tip-off interview.
Superintendent McDonald.
Superintendent McDonald, and then we got some segments.
Yep.
And then the last shot is going to be Nathan Kish from Champion.
It's going to be fun to interview Nate. You know, Nate's very opinionated.
Yeah.
He was one of our players. He's a good coach, so it's going to be interesting what he has to say.
We've beaten him a couple times too.
Have we ever lost to Nate?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
2-0.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Nate about that.
I don't think we played him outside of Champion though.
Yeah,
we played him at Lordstown or Maplewood.
I don't know. We'll make sure we rub it in.
2-0.
Yep. All right, coming up next, we got Kevin O'Connell with the tip-off interview.
Tip-off interview.
All right.
Here we go for the tip-off interview. We have Kevin O'Connell, the superintendent at McDonald. Kevin, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I live here in McDonald. I've been married for 24 years coming up shortly here.
Wow.
My wife Amy. I've got 3 kids, twins that are seniors this year, and my youngest is a junior, so pretty busy time for us.
And you've been. Did you start at Maplewood as a teacher? Or
No, I actually started at McDonald.
that's
as a
right.
teacher.
Yep, that's right.
I spent my first 9 years in McDonald, then went to Maplewood for 8 years as the elementary principal, and now start my 4th year at McDonald.
And you grew up here, so
Yes.
so it's
Yep.
like coming home.
Absolutely.
How's that for you?
It's 99% good.
Okay,
There's a
all right.
1%. There's certain days where you want to go hide, so I can go hide in my backyard. For the most part, people won't see me back there, but 99% of it's fantastic.
Well, let's start with this. So McDonald's building a new sports complex. Looks very nice. It's coming along. When is it supposed to be completed?
We're working on a couple of phases right now. The first phase, which will get us basically to the all-weather track, the artificial turf field, everything around it, that should be done in the next couple of months. Then we're going to start on the second phase where we start looking at buildings and the grandstands and lights. So the goal for us is to be able to practice track this year. We don't have any meets scheduled, which is
Okay.
fine because you got to get on that schedule quite in advance. And football, we're looking at next August. Hopefully, we'll be ready to go.
Now, that's a pretty big piece of land down there. Is
Yeah.
there future plans maybe of a baseball field and possibly a school even?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that attracted us to that land. You can't find land in McDonald, period. So when we found 36 acres, that was something we had to do for the school's sake. So we have those options now, which we didn't have before.
Sure.
We're very landlocked where we're currently at. So now we have that choice. So we have actually looked at a baseball field. We tried to design the stadium to where we left footprints for all those other things so they could happen.
Well, McDonald's High School is 100 years old.
Correct. Yeah, it's we'll be coming up about 96 years old right now.
Wow.
Beautiful building.
Yeah, sure.
The custodial staff takes care of it like it's their house.
Yeah.
But it is 96 years old.
I know. As the former basketball coach, over the last couple of years, we've renovated the gym, new bleachers, just some nice features.
Yep, the LED lights this year
LED lights, right?
was a big thing. I'll never forget, we brought a contractor in there, and he said, well, where do I go to turn the lights on in your gym? And I pointed over to the electrical box. And he said, sir, I said, where's the switch? And I said, well, yeah, that's the switch.
Yeah,
It's been like that for probably 40, 50 years.
We would go in there and there actually would be tape or colored coded which ones
Yeah,
you would
no,
hit. You would just go right down the road, right?
So now I can actually turn them on with my phone.
Okay.
So we're saving electricity. It looks a lot better.
Oh, it's
in the
way
gym.
nicer. I mean, you just walk in and come on
yeah.
automatic just
Yeah.
from movement.
Yeah, so big improvement for us
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Now, we got COVID, and last year obviously sports were shut down in the spring. We just read situation at McDonald with the football.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
somebody from the team was exposed or has COVID, so you had to shut down football.
Correct. Yeah, we worked with the Trumbull County Health Department over the last 48 hours, and I know by the time this shows, it'll be a couple days later, but they did a great job with us contact tracing. So our biggest goal right now, make sure that kid obviously recovers fully.
Sure.
And right now we'll just have our team home, making sure there's no other kids that come down with
So do they have mandatory 2 weeks off, or how's that work?
Actually, what they did is they went back 3 days from the day that the symptoms were seen, and then they want to know who was with them. So they started
Okay.
a little bit prior to that. So it'll be about 14 days when it's all said and done.
Do you? I mean, we hate to speculate,
Yeah.
but what do you see is going to happen here? Is this 50-50? I mean, is it
Yeah,
up in the
I
air?
mean, it's hard because if you look at some of our sports, like golf started last week. So
And
we're
they're
already-
actually playing.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we're already going. They had 2 matches last week. They have 3 this week coming up. So they're moving. Tennis is going to get going here. Obviously, football is the one that is going to drive things, and we just don't know where that goes. Ohio High School Athletic Association 6-game schedule.
Right.
We talked
Yeah,
about that in our intro.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think that's something. In my opinion, I think they wanted the governor to hear a plan.
Yeah.
Now, whether he thinks that's an accurate plan, I mean, because of course, a day later, then you hear the MAC cancels football.
Right.
Right.
Or not cancel. I shouldn't say they moved it to
They
spring.
moved it back, right?
Yeah. So we know that that's a real possibility for us. The shame is that you see all these kids working hard,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
back up there. It's bad enough to think it might be gone, but when they work this hard, they're all ready to go, and then it might get ripped out again. That's really concerning. for
Sure.
us.
As an
Heartbreaking.
outsider, I think we always look at superintendents. You are in a no-win situation.
Yep.
No matter what decision you make.
It's a
half,
lose-lose.
yeah, half the people are not going to agree with you or be upset that they're losing a season or they're going to school or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting direction from other people, or are you working as a group? Because from my perspective, it seems like the superintendents have a lot of power to make decisions at this point. And I know that's your
Yeah.
position and
No,
heavy is the
absolutely.
head and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but do you wish you had some more direction from the
Oh,
state?
it's been tough, and there's certain aspects that we would love to hear the governor just say, "Hey, do this."
Right.
Right.
Now that we say that because he didn't tell us what that is, because then if he told us, we might be complaining on the backside.
Right.
So yeah, we definitely want some kind of structure so we can work within. As Trumbull County superintendents, we're meeting every week. We meet with the health commissioner to hear what they have to say, but everybody's kind of waiting. Everybody's playing that waiting game, and there's a lot of political cover people are taking. Nobody wants to be the first one to, stick their head out there and say, "Okay, here's what I think."
What
So-
other thing too is that we always talk about this. I mean, everybody's so sports driven, but you've got to worry about education.
Yeah.
I mean, that's number one priority. I mean, there's a
Absolutely.
lot of things bigger than sports at this point.
And anymore, I feel like we're not even having enough time to talk about education. It's cleaning supplies, healthcare supplies.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a thermal scanner was a month ago.
Right.
Now kids are going to walk through a facial ID, thermal scan, get their temperature every
Wow.
morning,
Right.
touch free. We got more hand sanitizer in that building right now.
Yeah.
We
You can
have-
swim in it.
Yeah, we have our technology room at the elementary school. That's all you can see is cleaning products in it. So that's kind of sad to see because I think again we're taking our focus away from that main goal, but we got to keep
Yeah.
people safe too.
To kind of,
Yeah,
to piggyback on that a little bit, you're in a community that sports is king.
Tradition.
I mean, the tradition and the success McDonald's had. Was it hard for you to be a superintendent and try to balance the education versus sports? Because I've been to a lot of board meetings at
Yeah.
McDonald, and it's a lot of sports talk.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, how do you bring it back to education or the health of the kids and stuff like
Well,
that
you're
in this
right,
kind of town?
When COVID hit, everybody talked about like last spring. I mean, we could have won a boys and girls state track championship.
Yeah.
Now we had to do it, but we had the talent on that roster to do it. We had one of the best softball players in McDonald
Yeah.
history that we
Yeah.
lost. You look at cross country this year. We have the odds-on favorite on the boys' side to win a state championship. Football team's prime. The golf team
Awesome.
might be the best golf team we've ever had.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that pressure. They want sports
For sure.
to happen. There's no question about it. So you do always have to wrap them back around to why we're actually here.
Yeah.
And I do believe sports plays a huge role, but we can't forget education.
In life.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
The health of the kids,
health.
obviously,
Yeah.
right?
So I mean, right now, I give our coaches credit. They've kind of set a stage for the teachers coming back because a lot of our coaches are doing exactly what we're going to be asking the teachers to do: health assessments every day, taking temperatures of kids, monitoring their symptoms. They're doing a lot of the things, cleaning the weight equipment.
Right.
If you see what they have to go through just to get a workout in. I talked to Jimmy. He's washing on the balls between every kid that comes in, just to make sure that everything's safe for these guys.
Yeah.
Just to switch gears a little bit. So what year is this as the superintendent?
Year 4.
Year 4. So you've been in it. On an average season, a basketball season, whatever, football season, how many phone calls do you get?
Who's coaching? No.
So on a typical season, you get 100 phone calls. Now that I'm not coaching, you probably only get 2 or 3.
No. Honestly, it's not that many.
Okay.
I mean, there's always the moments that you're going to get a few phone calls. The one thing people want to talk playing time. They want to talk. I don't talk that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just. I mean, we hire a coach. That's your job.
Right.
Now, unless you see something crazy going on a field or on a court. I mean, I'm undefeated now. I haven't lost a game in a long time, so I could sit there at a football game and say, "I'd run this play," and I'll never know if it'll work because we didn't call it.
And you do have a coaching background. You coach girls basketball.
Yeah,
right?
I coached 4 years junior high boys.
Okay.
And then I coached 5 years as a varsity assistant for the girls. So,
yeah.
But it is great sitting in this seat now because
Yeah.
I can have some fun. I get to watch the game.
Yeah.
I miss the competitiveness to some extent.
No pressure.
No, it's great. Yeah. So, you get a lot of calls, but most of them are just people wanting someone to.
Is it more difficult because you grew up here and people know you, so they feel like they have that outlet?
Yeah, there's no question, and that's the challenge. You just want to listen because usually I'm not going to solve their problem. They just want to know you care enough to hear it out. And most of our parents are good people. They just have those parent goggles on sometimes.
Yeah.
And with my kids right now, the one thing I was brutally honest with them. I'm going to tell you if you can do something, I'm going to support you all along the way, but I'm not going to ever give you false hope.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate their hard work.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's all I ask my kids to do. So that's what I try to remind these
And
parents.
kids have different talents.
Yep,
For sure.
absolutely.
Not everybody's going to be a golfer or a football
Yep.
player, but that doesn't mean they can't be a great artist or a great teacher or whatever it might be later on.
Absolutely.
And just like about everybody else in McDonald, you run, right? I see you
Yeah,
running up and
I
down the
always
street.
try to. Yeah.
So has that been a little bit more difficult since you've been superintendent? Are you afraid of
You
passing
not
certain
run on
houses?
certain streets?
There's certain blocks where you run faster, and then there's other spots, downhill spots where you don't have to run quite as fast. I do watch cars sometimes.
Yeah.
And I jump off on the curb. No, it's a great time to run it because nobody goes faster than 25 miles an hour. There's a stop sign every inch you go. So great time to run in. I mean, any given day, you see dozens of people out on the streets. So
Have you ever been confronted on a run?
I've been stopped.
Have you really?
And there's nothing worse than you're in the middle of a 5-mile run.
Yeah.
And someone says, "Hey, can you stop for a minute?" Well, no, because I'll never be able to start up again. I'm like, but you have to. So I do, and I'll sit down and just listen and hear them out. But that's pretty regular.
I will say this: when I coached at Champion for 4 years as the head coach versus McDonald, because I live in McDonald, it's much more difficult to live and coach in the same district or same city or whatever you want to say.
And I think that's
Because
across the board.
it
Teaching,
is
superintendent, same
Because
thing.
I could possibly go to Dollar General
Yeah.
and see a parent who doesn't like me, whereas out of Champion, I was never in Champion socially.
And literally, we would go back to Champion, and then we would hear 10 issues. We didn't hear them.
Right.
And we weren't there.
'Cause you
So
could go
you would go,
home.
right.
And actually, a little shout out to our former varsity assistant Charlie Stingle, who
Was great.
who handled our issues.
Yeah, he was
Like
like,
he didn't even tell us.
he was the sponge of
Yeah.
our problems in Champion. Yeah,
And
he
Charlie,
listened to everything.
he just wouldn't even tell us what was going on, which was good. So we
Unless he
just
felt it
worked
was
on
important enough to hear it, which was
Right.
great. But yeah, that's got to be
No,
tough
big
as a
difference.
superintendent.
Yeah, and when I was a principal at Maplewood, it was the same thing. 35-minute drive home, and nobody in McDonald knew what was going on in Maplewood.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there was that little bit of a balance. So it's something that, with my family I got to work on. Actually, it's probably harder on my kids.
Yeah.
With them being in school, having to handle discipline issues or major items for them. So I give them credit because, for the most part, it rolls right off their back. I don't know if I could have handled that when I was.
Do they get chirping?
Oh, nonstop. Snow
Really?
days are brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just sending text messages like crazy to my kids. So my kids have learned just to egg them on a little bit.
Yeah.
They can tell them whatever they want, but because they know not to ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my kids will enjoy that with them. But yeah, I got to give them credit because that's got to be a difficult task.
Well, you had mentioned, final question for you, you had mentioned, good golf team. We got great high expectations this year for McDonald's sports if we end up having sports. I mean,
Absolutely.
the girls basketball team is returning all 5 starters, and they went to regionals last year. The golf team, I think, is relatively young even.
Yeah, there's one senior on the golf team right now, and I'd say he's our number 3 golfer.
Okay.
So the top 2 are a junior and a sophomore.
Yeah.
And they finished two of the top 3 at the greatest golfer of the valley.
Right.
So there's a ton of talent there. Girls basketball, what a great chance to bring Tony Matisse back in.
Right. Successful coach.
Yeah, I had some wars against him when I was coaching with McDonald girls
Right.
back then. It was Logo, McDonald battling for almost a decade.
Both had great teams.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. And Tony always did a great job, so I got a lot of respect for him.
Boys
So it's been great.
basketball, Jimmy Francicelli's coming
Yep.
in for me, and
Yep.
listen, he's got a pretty good team,
Yes.
and they got a chance to compete for a district championship.
Yep. He's got a lot of pieces. He's going to
He
have
does.
to learn to move around, but I mean that's why we brought him on board because
Yeah.
we know he can do that.
And he's an experienced head
Yep.
coach.
Absolutely. Had a great interview, did a great job, and got a golf outing coming
And
up.
not to minimize the other sports, but the last one, football. I mean, they're returning basically their whole team from last year,
Big senior class.
and they made the playoffs last year,
Correct. Yep.
right? And they should have a whale of a season.
No, and in that playoff game, they lost in overtime
Yeah.
to a team that ended up going to the state championship
Yeah.
game on their field. So that was a great
Lucas.
game. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Is that the game you thought you almost got arrested?
Yes. Yes.
Now the funny part, the side story to that, I don't know if Brian knew that. So as we're trying to get Donnie out of there,
Right.
and then Jeff's going, and so I'm trying to get Jeff out.
Yeah.
And then I look behind me, and there's my daughter is now screaming at a lady from Lucas, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah, you don't have enough
And-
arms.
Yeah, and she said to me, I said, what are you doing? Because she knows, and she said, when they started yelling down and your daughter got upset, she goes, I was done.
Yeah.
I was going to let that lady know, and I thought, oh, man.
The call was made, and I
Yeah.
was obviously yelling at the officials, and their locker room happened to be right next to our locker room.
Yeah.
So I did my normal thing. I didn't go in the locker room. I just started screaming loudly from the outside. Well, they didn't come out.
Yeah.
But the police officer finally came over to me, and he said, hey, calm down. He was really
Oh,
nice,
absolutely.
calm down. And I said, did you see the call? And he goes, keep yelling.
Yeah.
That's what the police officer said.
No, that was definitely
That
a
was something to
classic,
say, yeah.
a classic way to end there. I
It
mean,
was.
the worst ending you could imagine. I don't know. I asked you that question about a week later. I said, was that harder, or if you would have won and having that game pulled from
Right.
you and not being able to play that last
It-
game? I
it's
don't
a
know
tough
which.
one.
Yeah.
I always say
I'd
this,
rather have won.
I would have rather won, no doubt about
Every
it. But,
time.
we
Yeah.
talked about this a while ago on the show. Richmond Heights was very good.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could
Absolutely.
have got by them.
I would have a partial state championship banner in my house
Right.
right now.
Hey, if you didn't
It'll be
lose-
right behind
If you
us.
didn't lose, you're still in it, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
before you go, we've got a little segment for you.
Yeah,
It's called Over Under.
We always do something with our interviews.
Okay.
For you, we're going to be respectful and we're going to keep it
Okay,
clean. We're not
all
going to
right, I
work.
appreciate that.
But this
But-
one, we're going to talk about the sports in McDonald. We're going to give you a number, whether it's wins or you top
Okay,
whatever,
all right,
and
this
you're going to
is-
have
We're
to
going to
say.
put you on the spot.
Okay.
So you're going to have to say over or under for this year, assuming that the seasons. We already know football 6+ playoffs, and all the
Okay.
other seasons go their full season.
And there's a little twist to this.
Yeah.
Not what we didn't ask for your permission, but here's what we're going to do. So there's 5. If you get the majority right,
Okay.
we'll donate $50 each to any charity you want.
Okay.
If we win,
Oh,
you get
all right.
less. You got to donate $50 to a charity.
You got it.
All right.
The
So
only
now-
reason we did that is not only should we donate money to a charity, but we thought you would just homer it and go over on everyone.
Yes, I was surprised. I gotta get, because I'm still probably going to do that anyway and just make my
Just
wallet
lose the
out.
$50.
Yeah. Because that'll be easier than going back to work tomorrow.
All right, we'll start with football.
Okay.
6 wins,
That includes playoffs?
clues playoffs
Oh, it's over.
for sure.
As long as
You're
we can play the
confident in
games.
that.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
boys basketball 18.
Playoffs included
Yep.
again. I'm going to say it's over.
Okay, I should write these
Jimmy
down.
said over on that.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy said 18.
Yeah, 20 wins girls basketball.
They got a loaded schedule this year, but it's with the playoffs, it's over.
Okay,
Yeah.
top 5 in the state cross country
Boys or girls?
boys.
Boys, top 5 in the state. They got a lot of young pieces in that. I'm going to say that might be under. And I might get in trouble when I go home on
Okay.
that. I don't want to put pressure on those kids because
Okay.
there's a lot of moving parts there after Brody on top.
All right. Well, at least we got one that
You
you're
got
going to be in
one.
trouble
I'm
for.
going to get beat up on that one, too.
All right, the last one, we're going to have somebody monitor this, so you're going to have
Okay.
to put one of your staff people on this.
Okay.
100 is the number. Complaints in the next year, 365 days about the new sports complex.
Complaints?
Yep.
Under. Under. No, I wouldn't have said that last year, but we got it started now. People are seeing it. So
All right,
You
so-
know what? I was just going to say the same
Yeah.
thing. I heard complaints before. Now that they see it and it's actually coming along,
Yeah.
not just land.
When they
I
put
hear
that
so
turf
many
down,
compliments.
yeah, that turf, that whole corner will just glow.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, it's gonna be
that'll
very
end
nice.
those comments.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you already lost that one because I'll call every day and make sure.
we have caller ID now, so I'll just tell everybody don't answer that. So, yep, absolutely.
Well,
All
thanks
right.
for coming, Kevin. I mean,
No,
it was
thanks for
good, and
having
we like to get an administrator's perspective on what's
For
going
sure.
on, especially with COVID and everything. So we appreciate it.
We got the
Absolutely.
coach's office next.
Yep, coach's office next.
And then we have Kevin coming back, and he's going to go against Nate Kish for Say It With Your Chest.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
So they're going to have a little debate,
Little
right?
debate.
Looking
All right.
forward to that.
We'll see you in a minute. Thanks,
All right.
Kevin.
Everybody
All right, we're in the coach's office.
Well, Brent always asks the first question, so we decided we're just going to bring him on board.
And Brennan's already said that I'm not allowed to tell any more stories.
I got some things in my back pocket.
Brent's telling stories now.
No, not tonight. We'll bring him back for my stories. It'll be later.
All right, Brent, what do we got? First question.
First question is, as a head coach, how important is your out-of-conference schedule?
So that's something we've talked about as a group. You know, I think it's overrated. And I've said this, you know, privately we talk about this. I know we took some heat. People thought we played an easy non-conference schedule, which I disagree with. I mean, every year we played a Girard, you know, a Niles. We played Champion a couple times, JFK.
Yeah.
And then we also reached out to some bigger schools, and they wouldn't play us.
It's a no-win for
It was a
some of us.
no-win.
Right.
I mean, and we were pretty good, and they were okay.
Right. And
And-
so if they beat us, they should beat us.
Yeah.
If they lose, oh my gosh, you just
and
lost
let's
to
face
McDonald's.
it, we scrimmaged a lot of those schools
And-
every year,
yep.
and we beat them.
Right.
So we probably would have beat them in games.
But the argument is always that you prepare for the playoffs by playing harder, bigger
yeah,
schools.
and my only counter argument to that would be, I don't think playing a game in the first week of December gets you ready to play a game in March.
Yeah.
It's 4 months later. I mean, I just don't think that that's going to get you where you need to be. I think more importantly, you want to play competition. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you don't wanna
wanna
roll.
play whatever 7-8 games non-conference and beat everybody by 50 points.
Right.
So you want to be competitive, but you also want to win.
Right.
I think creating a winning mentality. A few years ago, Braden Poole senior year, Zach sophomore year, we were 20-2, but we entered the playoffs with a loss against Struthers.
Right.
You know, we thought we'll schedule Struthers so that we're down on the court.
Yeah, you
because
see,
that's where we
you
play
see the
district.
field house, right?
And, you know, we play at the field house, and that would prepare us better. Well, we lost,
Right.
which Struthers were very good.
Yeah.
Wasn't unexpected.
Yeah.
But then I think it changed our kids' mentality.
Yeah.
Instead of going into the tournament on a winning mentality, we're kind of like, eh.
And I think
And it cost us.
I think our biggest success, and I think it just probably translates to most sports, is the momentum going into the playoffs is probably more important.
Absolutely.
If you
I
feel
agree
good about
100%.
yourself and you're playing your best basketball, those are
Yeah.
the teams that go farther in the tournament.
I agree. You know, let me say this. First of all, talent wins.
For
Talent
sure.
trumps anything else.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at our conference, I would argue out of the 8 schools in our conference, we probably play the toughest non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else there is, but I think we play the toughest. I mean, you look at some of the other teams. Well, let's throw it out there. Sebring this year. Sebring what 8-0 non-conference? They're ranked number 2.
There's the burning bridge icon. The burning bridge icon goes up in the
I
corner.
mean, but they were ranked number 2 in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Coming out of non-conference games.
Right.
And the first thing that happens, they lose to Louisville on Tuesday night.
Right.
I think it was either the first or second game of the conference. And then what happens next? We beat them on Friday night because they played such a weak
Right.
non-conference schedule. And I think that that's numerous teams in our league. So I would argue that we played a pretty tough non-conference schedule, especially for Division 4.
Sounds like you're saying it is important.
No, I don't think. I'm just saying we did play a tough schedule.
Yeah.
But I don't know how important
You gotta
it
balance
is.
it.
You got to
You gotta
balance,
balance it.
And I would
You
say
got to know your kids. You got to know what you want.
That's
what you're
yeah.
expecting.
Well,
that was the
year.
point I was going to
What-
make.
What you're
about-
expecting that year. You don't want to overschedule. You don't want to bury the kids. You want to get them feeling good about themselves, but you also want to see some competitiveness.
Well, you know, you bring up a good point here. Is what people don't understand too. Most schedules are done 2 years in advance, and people would be like, "Well, you know that you have a good team coming." No, you don't.
Yeah.
A
So
lot
how
of times
much
you don't
input
know.
do you have?
Very little.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm sure coaches do have some input. The only time I ever got involved would be later, you know, more recent years.
Yeah.
Only when we were lost a game or something. Like our schedule wasn't filled.
Sure.
And then the ADs would reach out to me and say, you know, what do you think?
Right.
You know,
But they're not asking you 3 years from now, who do you want to be?
no
playing?
chance. And I'll say this. I actually went to our ADs just recently, this past year, and said, listen, you can see what's coming through the ranks. And there's some lean years at McDonald. You're going to want to get back some of those connections with some of the smaller schools in the area. The schools that had dropped us. When I first came to McDonald, I mean, we were playing Lordstown and,
Yeah.
you know, small schools,
Yeah.
Latonia.
Right.
And we upgraded considerably, but you don't want to be playing, you know, Warren JFK every year when you have a lean year, or even Niles and Girard.
Right.
Although those are kind of rivalry games, so I think they'll probably keep them.
I mean, and in the end, you're looking at what, 4 or 5 maybe games, because there's always
Yeah.
a few games that you're playing every year. You're playing Gerard every year, right?
Every year. And Niles has become every
Right.
year. But think about our schedule this past year. I mean, Niles, Gerard, JFK,
Yeah.
Bristol. I mean, those aren't easy games.
I don't know who else they want you to schedule.
I don't know either.
Other than that.
But I would say that playing a game in the first week of December, I don't think is going to help you win a game in March.
Right.
Maybe if you played it later on. But I also don't think you should schedule games where you know you're going to lose. Like us scheduling, I don't know, Camp McKinley would
Right.
be just stupid.
Right.
It just wouldn't even make sense. That's not good for us, and it's not good for them either, obviously.
I think Brent's right, though. You got to know your team.
Know your team.
Sometimes you got to get some W's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if you think your conference is good and you're going to get hammered in your conference, you got to go out and you got to get some wins.
Well-
your kids have to have confidence.
When you're losing, nobody wants to play.
Right.
You're not going to get kids to play.
Right.
They'll go focus on a sport that they're going to win at. So I think you need a balance. But I also think it's difficult to schedule because it's 2 years in advance, and you don't know what your team's going to look at like 2 years in advance.
Right.
You don't know how many kids you're going to run out of there.
You never know, especially me.
All right, second question, and Brent, you're going to have to chime in on this one because this is in our wheelhouse. Mike from Hubbard wants to know, who do you think is the worst pro sports commissioner? We don't talk
The
a little.
worst?
Yeah, we don't talk a lot about pro stuff. We
No.
talk all high school stuff. So
Can we name them? So
Batman.
Bettman's hockey. I don't
Hockey.
even know if that's one of the major
he
sports.
Gets buried.
He
Gets buried.
You think he's the worst?
He's bad.
Silver and NBA.
NBA,
Goodell,
Silver
Roger
and
Goodell.
Manfred's
is
struggling.
baseball,
Yeah.
and then Goodell
Goodell. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Who do you think, Brent?
I'd have to go baseball
Yeah.
right now because the guy hates baseball. The guy should not be a commissioner for baseball. So I don't know his background. He's just a lawyer or something. You know, a banker. Really doesn't even like the sport. So I'd go that. Bettman's a close second. Bettman's pretty bad.
Is baseball the only sport that doesn't have a salary cap? Because football has a salary
To
cap.
my knowledge.
NBA has. I don't know about
To my
NHL.
knowledge.
I'm just gonna shake my head no because I have no idea.
I know baseball does not though.
Yeah.
That's one of the arguments
Right.
with the smaller market teams.
Right. You can't compete. You
I-
got 6 clubs out there with all
Yeah.
the money that are really going to be in it every year.
Well, that's why the
it
Indians
makes it
lose all
makes
the
it
best
tough for
players.
a Pirate fan.
Yeah, and the Pirates.
I know this. Every commissioner gets booed whenever they go public. So like nobody likes the commissioners. It's not an easy. I mean, having said that, they get paid to be
Oh.
booed. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money that the. I mean,
But
it's
you should at least like the sport. Manfred's on the record of not even doesn't
Being a
watch
fan.
baseball.
Yeah.
Doesn't
it
even
seems,
know
it
the
seems
game.
like Adam
You should
Silver
know the
has a
game
pretty
a
good
little bit.
reputation.
He's probably number 1.
Yeah.
I'd say so. As far as
Yeah.
I know he's supposed to work for the team owner, but I think the players like him.
I think they
as
do
far
too.
As far as any sport goes, I think he's probably got the most.
He's out in front with
Cred,
their
you wanna call
concerns,
it?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll talk about it, and he's not afraid to say, "Hey, listen, I'm siding with LeBron James on this. We agree. We're going to look at that, and we're going to take that into account." The other thing I think you have to give him credit for is no COVID. I mean, he's keeping those guys in a
Right.
bubble. I mean,
Well, that's who the best commissioner is right now. Whoever can keep them out of shut down.
if you can
Right.
keep J.R. Smith at Walt Disney World, I mean, you're a pretty good commissioner, I think. I mean, so maybe Silver's the best,
That's how I would rank it. Yeah.
and Manfred's the worst.
Yeah.
That's his name, Manfred.
Something like that.
Is it Rob?
I don't know. All right, so that's your answer, Mike. It's
Mike always asks these.
and Mike. I don't think Mike likes the baseball commissioner. I think it was part of the question.
The question.
He gave us a little bit of a front for that, so I think he'll like that answer. All right, the last question is from John. He's from Austintown, and he says, and this is talking about competition. And as a coach, you embraced competition. You said in an earlier
Yeah.
one that you love
Love it.
Tuesday and Friday, right? Do you find with full court press that you have competition?
Competition for a show?
Yeah, that's what the
No,
question was.
There's no competition.
I thought that was an interesting question.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I don't even. What would be our competition?
I don't know. We're different. We're not breaking news,
Right.
so we're not up against like 21, 27.
Right. Those are like news stations.
You know, like even on the internet, you see Maludik posting stuff all the time.
Yeah,
that's
Maludik's-
not our
yeah,
competition.
that's not our competition.
Yeah, we're doing a show.
I think
Right.
your competition is like Bill Simmons.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
gotta go big.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Ryan
not.
Russillo.
Right,
Those-
right, I
that's
agree.
your competition.
I mean, at one point, I thought we were ranked number 1 in the country, like podcasts.
I don't
I
think
saw
we
that.
don't even
I
have a
saw
podcast.
that. What do you mean? I don't know.
we don't even know what this is.
I mean, I don't even know what local shows are like us.
yeah.
I mean, maybe Austin Maludik, but I mean, with all due respect to Austin, he's a good kid and stuff. But I think he tries to stir the pot and tries to be nice. We just try to stir the pot. We
Yeah.
know we're not nice.
I do too. The only issue I have with Austin, because I think that kid grinds, and
grinds.
I probably shouldn't say that because he doesn't work for YSN. We
Yeah.
love YSN; they've been great to us. But Maludik grinds, and he puts a lot of work in. He's always posting stuff. It seems like he has a reputation of taking other people's stuff. I've heard it from a few people that like he'll repost stuff that and hey, whatever. The internet, you
Yeah.
can put anything you want out there. I even saw last week that he went to a sports card shop.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Yeah, we've been
sounds
talking about
sounds
that
like
stuff.
nerd alert a
Yeah.
little bit, but maybe
Yeah.
not. Give
Yeah.
him some credit, but that's not our competition.
No, with all due respect to Austin, I've seen his shows. I mean, we're way ahead.
Our only competition, I think, is when we want to stop doing this. It's us against us, I think. For
Or
that.
when we want to go bigger.
Yeah, we sign a
You know,
multi-million-dollar
ESPN or
contract,
something, or Sirius Radio. Or
right? So that's it for Coach's office.
I got one more question.
Uh,
You can dodge this one.
What, me or Brian?
No,
Oh.
Brian hasn't put it on, but you talk about not pulling punches and all that. So one question for you: what coach did you enjoy beating the most?
we beat
Throw a
everybody.
name. Throw a name. Yeah, you did. Which one gave you the most?
okay, I
the
gotta
most
think about this.
fulfillment.
We have to think about because there's a handful of those.
Right, I'm trying to think.
Who did you enjoy beating the most? I got a name in mind.
Okay,
It's probably way off from yours.
who
I'm
do
gonna
you
throw
got?
it out. John Collin.
No, I don't. I mean, it was John Cullen has a great reputation,
Right, that's
so
why I-
everybody holds him up high.
Exactly.
So to knock him off,
we
yeah.
lost to South Range the last 2 times we played him, but we beat them 3 or 4 times previous
Yeah.
when he was coaching.
Yeah.
We
That's
actually,
what I always got
we,
a lot
we
of
actually,
fulfillment beating him.
yeah,
Because
Zach's
he-
freshman
yeah.
year, I thought we kind of got screwed there at the end. We'd had
You
an
definitely
undefeated
did.
season. I mean,
Definitely
it was we were up and they made a foul call with 2 seconds left to go in
Right.
the game that I thought
Right.
was questionable. I mean, but I don't know.
I think early, it was Craig Hannon. We always liked to beat Craig. We had
a little.
but then we started talking to him a little
Yeah,
bit more and found out
yeah,
that he's actually
yeah.
a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
So it's like that softened that. You know what I mean?
Craig's first game as a coach was my first game back.
Okay.
Okay, so we go into that gym, we go into Gerard, and the first thing that happens is Craig forgets to put people in the scorebook. We end up shooting like 6 or 8
Yeah.
or free throws.
Yeah.
There was like 2 or 3 technical
Yeah.
fouls. And they were up on us really big at halftime. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And Craig Randall was a star.
Right.
And we were face
He
guarding him.
just got frustrated.
And then we
he
stayed
quit.
in his face.
He
Yeah.
quit.
And then we won. We
He
just
quit,
ran them
yeah.
up. We ultimately we beat them by I think double figures.
Yeah.
We ran off the court. And what Craig tried to do was do the same thing to Zach moving forward. He
Yeah.
put a guy in his face, and that never bothered us. They'd like come to the sidelines, and I'd offer the kid water.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'd go, here, you want a drink or whatever.
Yeah, but that softened too,
Ah,
though.
Pull no punches. Who do you got?
No, I'm trying to.
Who do you like
Honestly,
beating?
I don't know.
I know we loved beating everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, Brian Clark. We loved
Nathan
beating
Kish,
Sebring. We loved beating Sebring.
Yeah,
Brian
Brian
Clark.
Clark.
I mean, Brian. I mean, he was
Brian
a good
didn't beat
coach.
us. Brian beat us the first 2 years we went to McDonald. We made it to the district finals.
We
One
lo-
of them completely
Yeah.
unexpected.
Yeah.
And Brian had very good teams.
Oh, yeah.
And they
Great
beat
teams.
us. I don't know if Brian ever beat
We
us
loved
after
beating
that.
Ridge. We loved beating Lowville.
Dell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I
really.
don't know. I don't
No,
know.
either.
Holtz, back in the day.
Nah.
I honestly,
Roy.
nothing
We
jumps.
never beat Roy.
Right, you know,
Well, a
Roy,
couple of
We
times.
couldn't beat Roy.
But let's be honest, Roy
That's-
Sembach,
yeah.
of all the coaches we've coached against, he's had the greatest success against
Yeah.
us. We won some games against them,
Yeah.
and we lost some that we were winning in like the last seconds. of
Do
the
you
game.
know how many guys you got a losing record against?
Well, Roy,
Roy.
that we played regularly. I mean,
Yeah.
not 1-0.
Yeah. Just
Maybe Roy.
Just Roy.
I don't know. I mean, there aren't many.
Roy might be the nicest guy in the world. I
Roy's
don't
great.
know.
Hey.
But we couldn't beat him, and I don't like him.
Are you out there, Roy? Brent does not like.
I don't
you.
like him. Nicest guy in the world, maybe, but you get that rep. I don't think
Yeah,
it's because you're crazy on the
Yeah.
sideline. People don't like you because they don't beat you. That's my opinion. It's not because he's so loud or he's yelling
Yeah.
at his players or anything like that. I think it's because they just don't beat you.
Well, I remember
I feel that
years
way
ago
about
there was a younger coach in the area. I had already been coaching for 15 years. And he was similar to me, very energetic, and they lost bad. 20 games. I don't know if they won a game. And I heard a lot of people go, man, he's such a good coach, he's very passionate. Me, on the other hand, it's like
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole. He scored
Yeah.
100 points,
Yeah.
and you know
130
he
against
screams
Ridge.
at his kids, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But I don't know if there's one coach that I really enjoyed. Let me say this: you know me, we enjoy beating everybody,
Right.
and we want to beat them bad.
Yeah.
It's just who we are. But One coach, I don't know, but one coach that we struggled against was Roy Sembach, and I can still remember 2 or 3 of those games where we had to lead with like 5 seconds left to go in the game, and something crazy happened. One time we boxed the kid out on a shot to the wall.
Yeah, that was
Greg Birch, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Foul, kid makes 2 free throws, sends it overtime. One time we had the guaranteed overtime, we missed the layup.
Yep.
Still tie score, and our guy fouls the guy.
Yeah.
Puts him on the line with no time left and makes 2 free throws.
These
So
are 20 years ago. You remember?
I know,
Yeah.
I'll never forget those games, and that's a shame. But
You hated Seabass.
what was his name for real?
What was that?
Earhart?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
that.
didn't like him.
You know, like the Latonia coach.
Well, he was just like thinking like that they're gonna beat us and all that. And then when we beat him by 50 points, he'd be pissed and like call us cheaters.
Yeah,
and
call
all
us
kinds-
Mick
And then he
transfer.
would go on yapping and talk about us.
Yeah.
Like I don't like
Alright,
it.
I thought
We hated 'em all.
I don't know.
No.
He hated
Alright.
them all.
I wish. Listen, I hate them all. Yeah, dude. Let's real
I thought
quick.
beating
You still
everybody.
on?
Yeah,
Let's-
we're off
no,
now.
are you hitting?
Yeah, we're still on.
Hey, real quick. Who's the coaches we like?
Bug Thompson.
Bud Thompson. Love
Bug,
Bud.
definitely Bug. Yeah.
Bud, love Bud.
Procopio.
Yeah, Procopios are great people.
Which is crazy. We like Craig Hanna now.
Yeah, Craig, because I also think, Craig bitched and moaned a little bit,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like you guys are cheaters or stuff. It was just more
Yeah.
us competitors.
He was competitive.
Yeah.
Steve Miller, obviously.
Steve Miller. Yeah, Steve and I are good friends.
Yeah. Who else?
Dolph Carroll.
Dolph was a good guy. Yeah.
I like Dolph a lot because there's no bullshit with Dolph.
I think in the end, the people that we like is because they didn't make excuses.
Right.
Like,
It was a
win or
great game.
lose, we're just going to play.
And they can compete with you.
They could.
Mostly,
Yeah.
mostly competitive.
You earn the
games
respect,
and-
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan Kish from Champion.
Nathan's on the fence. I'm not sure. Nathan wasn't a grinder. I think I'm going to hear about that in the interview coming up later.
That's a good question, though.
That is a good question. All right, that's it for Coach's Officer. This is going to be like a 4-hour show. We can't bring Brent back for anything. So thanks, Brent, for coming in. Up next, we have Say It With Your Chest. We got Kevin O'Connell coming back, and he's going to go out against Nate Kish.
And they're going to debate mandatory playing time in 7th and 8th grade.
Should be a good one.
Yep.
See you in a minute. All right, we're back with Say It With Your Chest. Go ahead,
So
Jeff.
we have Nathan Kish and Kevin O'Connell here, and they're going to debate a topic, and the topic that we decided was mandatory playing time for
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade. We have Kevin O'Connell, who's the superintendent at McDonald's, so he's going to take the perspective from a superintendent.
Right.
And then we got Nathan as a coach. Now, these two know each other.
There's a history.
Yeah,
here.
there's a history. So Nathan is a teacher out at Maplewood, and Kevin was his principal for many, many years. So they've known each other for a long time. They're good friends, and we're going to get 2 different perspectives right now.
All right, so if you had to bet, I don't even like. I think we probably both side with Nate on
Right,
playing
on the
time
playing
question.
time.
Right.
But we're not administrators, so we
Right.
don't got to deal with the headaches necessarily.
So when this goes up and we put this on Twitter poll and stuff, who do you think's going to win?
I don't know.
I have a.
You're
I have a
betting
guess.
Kevin.
You know
I
I'm
tell
betting.
you what.
Here's what I think about this. I don't care what they're debating between Nate and Kevin. I think Kevin's probably smarter, and he's probably going to win
my
the debate.
God. Well, I'm going to go with Nathan.
Well, but here's the flip though.
no way
here's
that's
the flip though. Nate would never believe that, and no matter what Kevin says, Nate still thinks he's going to win.
I'm going with Nathan. Nathan, I have your back.
Coach, I appreciate that.
We've
All
had
right.
a lot of debates
So-
but never won.
So what happens?
You can't win with Nate no matter
Well,
what.
what we're going to do here is each one's going to get a minute to open up, and then they'll have like a minute or so to respond to each other, and then there'll be a 1 or 2 minute free for all.
All right, so mandatory playing time.
Mandatory playing time, whether or not every kid in 7th and 8th grade should play in a game.
7th grade, mandatory playing time, 1 minute for Nate. He's arguing no.
He's arguing as a coach that no.
Okay, here, you ready
All
to go,
right,
Nate?
Nathan,
Ready.
are we
All right,
ready?
1 minute, go.
I'm going to take the side of no. Every kid should not play. I think it's totally different than it was in 2000 when we were coming up, or in the 90s. You have 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade basketball. By the time you get into 7th and 8th grade basketball, number one, I think kids are already determining whether they want to play the game or not. Number one. Number two, basketball has 5 guys on the floor. I think this is what makes it so hard. There's only 5 kids that play. Basketball, you cannot hide a player that struggles. We'll just say, or isn't as talented, or you can't hide those kids. And if you want to create a competitive team and a competitive program, you can't go 2-14 in middle school.
Right.
You got to learn how to win. And I think I know that every kid deserves a chance. I just don't think they do. You got to earn that chance. And I don't agree with just cutting kids and saying, well, we're going to have 7 kids on the team. So
We've done that.
Right. I don't want to do
Time.
that.
Kevin's up. Go
Already?
ahead, Kevin. Yep.
1 minute. Yep.
I thought we were going.
You got to talk a
Jeez.
lot faster
Go
than
ahead.
that.
I'll
So
get a rebuttal.
when we're talking about mandatory playing time,
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be equal playing time. So we're talking about creating a team. You know, in basketball practice, when I coach 7th grade boys, you know, if you're gonna have a competitive practice, you need at least 10 guys that are competitive with each other. Because I got to run 5-on-5 stuff. I got to have my 6 through 10 guys push my 1 through 5. So it's easy to think they're just going to show up every day and push and practice, but you got to give them a little taste in the game too. So when I say mandatory playing time, it doesn't mean equal. It just
Okay.
means they can't sit the bench every single game when you're 8th, 9th, and 10th, but expect them to come into practice and be sharp and just want to be there every day. I think, how do you push your point guard? Have a point guard that's busting them in practice every day, getting after them. Plus, that point guard gets a couple minutes in a game, you don't know what he'll show on that floor. Maybe you end up playing both point guards together. So, mandatory playing time. Plus, you got to look at, we want kids active. We can't have kids sitting at home. We say as administrators all the time, I want kids doing something. So, the more
30 seconds,
opportunities-
Nate. Go.
What am I doing right now? I'm not the
You can-
smarter
you-
one, man.
So you
All
respond.
right, hold on. You want me to pause this and give you
Pause
another-
it.
No, I'm ready now.
All right. So you get 30 seconds to respond. Whatever you want.
No, I mean, what I was saying is I don't want to cut. I think we just agreed we don't want to cut kids. But I think it's almost just as harmful to a kid to go, all right, I'm going to throw you in for 2 plays in the end of the second quarter so that you can get your playing time and you're never playing again. I just think we should motivate kids and try to get kids to understand that not everybody's going to be great at something. If you want it, you have to work at it. You have to come to practice every day and work at it. And try. I guarantee you, if you're the hardest working kid in practice and you win every sprint, you're not overly talented, you're going to play just based on effort alone.
That's time, Kevin. 30 seconds.
And you'll see that. I coached 7th grade teams where the best player by the time they got to be a senior, they were my top 12th player on that team.
Right.
So sometimes you don't know that. You can see a kid who just hasn't blossomed yet. You guys talked about him. I want to show Adam Streb. I had him in 7th grade, maybe 12th best player.
Right.
Now, I was crazy that year. I kept 18. I'd never do that again. I was running hockey lines in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to have that competitiveness in practice. You got to go at it. But there's only one way to do it. You got a kid, he wants to play.
All right, that's it. We got a free-for-all. You guys can go back and forth.
All
We
right,
got
good,
2
'cause
minutes.
That
Go.
was too quick.
All right, go ahead.
No, I agree with that stance. My point is, I don't think you can just say, hey, you play basketball, you're going to play just because you play basketball. I think that sets up, it defeats the whole purpose of playing sports. Like, for example, I'm in the band. I played the French horn, all right? Because
Were you a grinder?
I was a grinder.
He never showed up for practice. He was
I played the French horn because I had to go work. I'd walk to the bus stop. My dad said, "You play an instrument, but you're playing whatever the school will give you." So I played the French horn. I was 3rd chair. No one ever said, "Hey, out of 3
you did the
people, I
first
was the
chair."
worst."
Yeah.
No, it goes. You know what? For one song, we're gonna let you play 1st chair. There's nothing else in this world.
But the difference there is
Everything.
everybody still gets to go on Friday night and play in that band. So, yeah, you might not be the 1st chair, but when someone's sitting in the stands and your parents are watching you play, they don't know if you're 1st chair, 2nd chair, 3rd chair. They just know you're out there and you're a valuable member to that group.
They know where you're sitting that you're the worst one.
No, not in marching band.
Yeah.
They'll never know
Well, not in marching band
Yeah,
when you're in
so-
the band. I think at Champion they had like a symphonic band and a concert band. The symphonic band was a good band. The
Were you in
concert
that
was
band?
bad.
Were you in the
Well, I
symphonic
quit
band?
by high school.
Wasn't a grind.
Which is what I think
Clearly,
comes,
I mean, it
it's
just
what it
doesn't
comes
happen.
down. You learn in those years
Yeah.
at what you're going to be good at.
Well, there's one
I
thing-
wasn't good at band. I wasn't good at art, but
When
I
you
was
watch
better
a
at
junior
sports.
high game now, one thing you hate, when I started coaching 7th grade basketball, Jim Hillman gave me one rule. You play man-to-man defense and you bust their butts. He'd tell me, I can set up a zone to win a game later. I need a kid to play man-to-man. And you see now, people want to win junior high games. They play a 2-3 zone because nobody could shoot. But that 2-3 zone, the kids are lazy in it. They're no fundamentals. They're not moving their feet. They're not playing hard-nosed man-to-man. So I'd rather play that way, even if I might have lost a game, knowing that those kids, because in 7th grade, my job's not to necessarily win the conference title. It's to make sure the varsity coach
All right,
wins
so
the
here's a
conference title.
question. You have a kid who just comes in, he's on the team, he knows he's going to play on Thursday night, and he's just going to loaf through practice, and you're going to play.
Then he doesn't play. No, so when I say it's not equal, you got to work at it.
That's what I'm saying.
You see, mandatory, when a coach says to me, hey, I didn't play this kid because he was late for practice, he didn't show up as an administrator, I'm going to have your back all day. But if he's there every day and he is winning in the sprint, give him an opportunity. Some coaches, they want to
But
play.
then their mom and dad go, well, you know what? He said he practiced.
No, you trust your coaches on that one. But when do you see coaches want to play their 6 through 10 all at one time? You don't have to put all of them at one time. Put 1 or 2 bench kids in with 3 starters. Because then they'll say, well, did you see I got buried? Well, yeah, because you played all your 6 through 10 at the same time. Why'd you have to do that? Give a kid an opportunity. Because when do you know you're going to need that kid if you get an injury?
Right.
Then all of a sudden, you got to pull him off the bench. He better be ready to go for you. So
I don't
he
like
has a
cutting
taste.
them at that age.
Yeah.
I'm not saying cut them. What I'm saying is if you're the 15th man on the team, then you have to learn how to work hard. And I go back to that story in college. I had to learn that I had to work hard and find my role, and I had to play defense.
So
Nate,
as a
you don't think they should cut in middle school?
I'm saying
just
you
curious
can't
now.
keep 20 kids.
Yeah.
I made
But
that
you want to
mistake,
keep, you want to keep 12 kids. I think you want to keep, like you said, you want to be able to play 5-on-5.
You know-
I want kids to be part of it. I mean, I truly believe this. The reason we have sports is so that kids can learn something that they don't learn in school. And some of those things are just those tough things like I didn't get to play. Well, what did you do in practice to prove to your coach that you played? You know, another thing is though that the parents have to be able to say, well, Johnny didn't play.
Yeah.
Like you got to say, hey, you
His
need to
story's
work
why.
at it. Here's
Right,
what you
right.
need to work on to work at it. And I just think those little things are what makes sports great. And that's why we have sports, not just to hand a kid a spot just because he's on the team.
I'll butt in here. Few things.
I'll take Jeff in this argument.
I know some leagues have mandatory, like you play the
Yeah,
first and
right.
third quarter and
Yeah.
another group plays the second quarter. I can't buy into that at all. Never. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And you know, I don't want to use our stories all the time, but like just using Zach as an example, for him to had to sit on the bench in 7th grade for a kid who's never played basketball before is outrageous.
And probably
Zach
never will
played
play moving
baseball,
forward.
Exactly.
so it wouldn't be
Exactly.
fair if he goes out for baseball and they have to split
And
time.
that's that equal
That's
playing time.
the stuff I don't like.
I don't think it has to be equal. I
No.
really don't, because you are going to see a difference. There's no way around it.
Years
Yeah.
ago, we had an administrator for the wrong reasons come to us and say everybody had to play in a game. It was for the wrong reasons. It was based on a lie that a parent complained saying that we didn't play the kid in all the games. And he didn't play in like 4 games, but like 3 of those games we tried to put him in and he didn't want to go in. He was
Yeah,
afraid.
right.
And then the administrator came and said, well, you got to play everybody. So what we did the next year is we cut down to 7, 8 kids. We said, if you're going to make us play everybody, we're going to keep the kids that can play. And it did create a problem.
was a problem.
There's no mistake
Yeah.
about it. It created a problem, but we kept the kids that could play. My final comment would be when it comes to playing time in the middle school is what I have found is if you play a kid 1 minute, then they want 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they want 4 minutes. And that's the only difficult thing. I don't like putting a kid in for 15 seconds. I think it's embarrassing to
Exactly.
the kid.
Especially at the end of a
You
game.
know,
instead of
I just think it's embarrassing. I do, as I grew as a coach, head coach, I ended up coaching a couple middle school games for various reasons. The coach was sick or you know out of town, whatever it might be. I had found later in my life it was much easier for me as a head coach going down to play everybody in the first half.
Sprinkle them
I
in.
just sprinkled them in,
Yeah.
Yep.
but
Like
I
you
didn't.
talked
I
about.
didn't care about winning because I wasn't directly invested.
Exactly.
You know, it made when I coached middle school when I was younger, I was cutthroat.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Super Bowl every game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to win every game, but it's not an easy. It's not an easy
We had that
subject.
same experience. One of our when I was coaching girls, we had just lost in a regional final game. We lost a regional final game. Our 5th grade coach threw his back out. I had to go coach a 5th grade game at Girard the next day. Person I'm coaching, it's like their biggest thing in their life.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm coming
Yeah.
off a regional final loss,
Yeah.
watching this guy coach 5th grade
Yeah.
basketball. But you're right. I mean, it's just a perspective. And the
Yeah.
first half is a great way to get them, just get a little bit of action.
That's
in
when
there.
I found it easy to do is to sprinkle them in the
Yep.
first half and not worry about it in the second half. But I also didn't care about winning
Yep.
because I wasn't directly involved.
Can I say this though?
Yes.
I don't agree with having a kid on the team and not letting them play the entire year and I'm sitting.
I
there.
agree, Nathan.
I want to play them as much as I can. I want
Yes.
them all to get into games.
You
but
know
there's
what
gonna
our
be
role-
Times where it shouldn't have to be mandatory.
It's
that
not a guarantee.
every
Yes,
right, it's
we
not a
said
guarantee.
to the kids and to the parents that there was no guaranteed playing time.
Right.
We wrote it in capital letters. But then I privately said to my coach, I want every kid to play. And listen, if you're playing in a championship game, maybe he doesn't play.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
you try to find a way to get those kids in. And I told the parents in the parent meeting, listen, if your kid sits 1 game, I don't want to hear from you. If your kid sits 2 or 3 games, you need to call me because I don't go to every single game, and I need to talk to my coach. So that there's no way a kid should be sitting the whole
And
season,
people always-
or they shouldn't even
yeah.
be on a team then.
Well, you talk about your parent meeting, and people always say, "Does he really say that stuff?" I
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, because I sat in on it."
Oh, yeah.
I was, my
Yeah.
son played.
Yeah.
He was 7th grade. I said, "Yeah, he absolutely." I mean,
So what about
put it
the
out.
argument? So what about the argument though that 12th kid might be a star and that because you didn't play him?
Yeah, and you know we've talked about this at length over the years.
We've missed a
How
couple.
many kids have we missed over a 20-year period?
Not many.
We've missed a couple, and those kids typically, and I'll use Adam Streb since we already brought him up. Adam Streb also grew a great deal and completely invested in the basketball. You know, and had a great senior year. You know, we had a kid at Champion, Josh Ozanich, who was didn't get off the bench his 7th and 8th grade
Right.
year. But then from his sophomore to senior year, basically, he grew 6 inches. He went from 6 foot tall to 6'7", and he ended up playing as a senior and getting a basketball scholarship to Walsh. We didn't miss on many kids. We didn't miss on many kids. And what I have found is usually that 12th kid on that basketball team in 7th grade is probably going to quit basketball anyways.
The vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have to find a balance. Yeah. And it's easier to do as you get older.
Can I
go ahead?
No,
yeah,
please.
go ahead.
So here's
It's all
my
you.
last thing.
Yeah.
Say you come into a program that hasn't had a lot of success. They're known for being, a softer community. They're not. How do you change that culture if you say that we're going to go 2-12 every year in middle school and we're going to play everybody and we're just going to lose? How do you change?
Nathan,
culture?
you know me. You're
that's-
talking to me who believes that winning breeds winning.
You're preaching to the choir there.
If you beat a team in 7th grade and 8th grade, in the back of their mind, they're always going to think you're going to beat them in 9th grade and 10th grade and 11th grade. It doesn't always happen that way, but it doesn't mean it. But I believe winning breeds winning. We live our lives a little different. I live to win every day. I mean, it's just who I am as a competitor. So
the moral for me of this and what I've learned here is that I undervalue Nathan too much. I think Nathan did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did a very good job. Which I
He's a little smarter. I've never given you enough credit. Is what I've learned in the last 9 minutes.
That was a good discussion. And you know what? The truth is, you've got 2 different perspectives.
For sure.
You've got a superintendent who has to deal with the headaches eventually,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then you got a head coach who wants to win and wants to build a program, and it's a fine line.
You know this when your name's attached to it, like. For Kevin,
no question, Nathan.
For Kevin, his name, he wants McDonald to be great at sports.
Right.
You talked about the educational piece. Like he's the leader of the education. You're the leader of the basketball team.
No doubt.
Your name is attached to it. His name's not attached to it. So when your name's attached to it, you want that program to be the best it can be. I'm down at 3rd and 4th, 5th grade stuff. I know all the kids, and I want to because my name's attached. When it fails, no one's going to blame Mr. Grabowski at Champion because it failed. It's my fault when it fails. So I want it to be.
Well, Nathan, let me say this, and you'll remember this name, John Gibson from Champion. John Gibson was a great high school and college football player. He was like the last cut of the Cincinnati Bengals, and he coached and taught out at Champion for 35 years and was the football coach numerous times and did a great job. And John Gibson told me when I was a young coach, he said to me, "You will be evaluated more on Tuesday and Friday nights than you will Monday through Friday in the classroom." And it's a sad commentary on our society, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go 20-0 as a basketball coach, I don't want to say people don't care that we're not teaching, but they care less. They want to see you win.
Right.
Now, Kevin cares that you're not teaching as a superintendent, but the fan doesn't. And it is our name. And someone made a comment, bashed McDonald Elementary basketball one time, and I said I went at the person. And they said, "I'm not bashing you. I'm bashing McDonald basketball." And I go, "Who do you think is McDonald basketball?"
Right.
And I'm not saying that as an egomaniac, but that's me.
Right,
That's my
exactly.
name.
That's what you get paid to be. You're the advocate. For
Yes.
that. But if you can find a partnership where the administration allows you to do what you need to do, then you can have an honest relationship to where if there is a line that you get close to, sit down and talk behind closed doors, you walk away,
exactly.
and everybody's on that same page.
Kevin, you hit it. You as a superintendent have to have faith that you hired the right people. And if you don't, then you need to talk to them behind closed door or get rid of them.
Right.
Or eventually get rid of them. Right. And then the coach also has to have faith that the superintendent's going to get their back. And we even said that as a coaching staff. Like I tell my coaches every year, listen, we go to the locker room in the coach's office, you can say whatever you want to me. Yep. But you better not be saying it in the public.
Right.
That's a completely different beast.
Sebring then used to make me have to actually get his back because I used to have to sit behind him on the bench.
You did sit behind us.
Although I thought, man, security, we're gonna need someone bigger than me. But I did it. But no, that's that relationship. If you have both pieces to that, then if there's a line that either one kind of gets close to, you have that conversation, and you get where.
And I think that the biggest thing for you as superintendent is to support. Where you're at, you support the guy that you hired, and you kind of allow him to do a job. I mean, you came in, and he was the coach already, so you kind of had to just. Do what you could to try to keep him under control.
Well, the reality, though, try to keep me. The reality at the end of the day, though, is like Kevin, and I mean, you were fortunate. I'm not going to pat her on the back, but you had me, who was experienced coach, successful. Coach Williams,
Danny.
who was successful, experienced. Coach Roop, successful, experience. So it's not that it was easy for you because you got headaches, but it was different.
It's a tradition that's there.
Yeah.
And we talk about that. There's going to be a big challenge with that moving forward, though, because a lot of those coaches are heading down to where they're not going to be there much
Right,
longer.
absolutely.
So we know the pressure that's going to be in finding people to take those spots. So
that was a good debate.
That's it for Say It With Your Chest. If you liked what Nate said, he's coming right back for our last interview.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're
And
going to
he's
hear a lot
tell
more
us a
from
little bit
Nate.
more about himself and champion basketball.
I'm still going to say vote for Kevin, but Nate shifted me a little bit.
It was a good
It was a
conversation.
good one. Thanks, guys. Nate Kish is up next with the last shot interview. Here we go.
Here we go. We got the last shot interview. We got Nathan Kish. He is the boys basketball coach at Champion High School, and Nathan played for us. Nathan, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
I've been married for 15 years.
To a Champion graduate.
To a Champion grad, yeah. 99.
Did she graduate with you?
Year
Okay.
ahead of me. 9-year-old and a 7-year-old boy.
Okay. Both go to Champion.
Both go to Champion. And teach at Maplewood, 4th grade, coach at Champion.
Now you've been a head coach at several different places.
Started off at Lordstown for 2 years. Matt Urchek, who's a coach now at Maplewood, was at Maplewood for years. I was ready to be a head coach. Took the Lordstown job for 2 years. When he resigned, I was there for 6. Had kids. Maplewood's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You did this at Champion.
Yeah, sure.
You drive, and then I'd come home and coach Pee Wee baseball or help with soccer. And then I'm driving back out for open gym and driving home. You're in the car for an hour and a half. And,
Right.
Love the Maplewood kids. Still love the Maplewood kids. Maplewood's a great place to be. But it just made it easier on my family. Like my wife wanted to do something, she couldn't do anything.
Right.
Now, I'm
Right
4/10 of a mile
Yeah.
from the school, and she can drop them off, and they can hang out, they can shoot around, they can play in the office, whatever they need to do, and
Yeah.
she can have a life.
Right.
It's made it a lot easier on my family.
Yeah, we talked to Kevin O'Connell earlier about being the superintendent in McDonald, so living in the community that you have a high profile. Do you see some of that in Champion as the coach there? Is it
You go
difficult
to a
sometimes?
grocery store. Is it difficult?
I don't honestly. I haven't seen much. I mean, I've only been there for 3 years, but Champion's a little bit different than I think a McDonald. In the fact that McDonald's small, isn't it like
is.
that 1 by 1 square
mile.
mile?
One
Everybody's
square mile.
kind of, and Champion's a little more spread out. It's just a little bit different. I mean, geez, part of it with COVID, you don't see anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't do really anything, but I haven't had any issues with it so far, and I
Yeah.
think I'm far enough removed. I don't know a lot of the people that, the people I'm coaching now, I wasn't friends with when I was in school.
Okay.
So it's all kind of new. It's all, and I think teaching at Maplewood, I guess I'm not there constantly.
Right.
So
Was Champion your dream job? Did you want to go back to where you played, or that didn't matter to you?
Honestly, it didn't matter.
Okay.
I love Champion. I live in Champion. I think it's a great place. But I didn't go back there because it was my dream job. I went back there because it
Made
made
more
life
sense.
Made
so
your life
much
easier. Yeah.
I know, Nathan, when I left Champion, everybody said he's leaving because there's no talent. There's all this stuff. Listen, there was lots of reasons why I left. My kids were young,
Yeah.
super young. But one thing is, like, if we had a game, an away game, school would end at 3 o'clock. The bus would leave at 5 o'clock. I couldn't go home. I lived a half an hour away. It was
Exactly.
super difficult.
Yeah.
And that's what you talked about. I mean, going back and forth to someplace that's 20, 30 minutes away. And then even summer stuff. Like, coaches like to be there half an hour early. Well, those hour and a half or 2 hour summer sessions became 4 hours.
Exactly.
So
It's a lot of time
difficult.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You brought up, Coach Higgins talked about, being in the community and parents. Just out of curiosity, you've been a head coach for 10 years?
Yeah. 10 years.
What's been your worst parent problem?
Honestly, I've been really lucky with parents.
Okay.
I would say the worst parent problem has been maybe with a parent who thinks their kid should have played a little more.
Yeah, playing time.
Yeah. And it really wasn't even, a kid got hurt, and they felt like, the kid worked hard to try to get back, but he just wasn't himself. I felt he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't move like he needed to. And I even think the kid felt like that, but it's just hard, I think, for parents to see their kid try to come back, not play, be disappointed
Right.
when they come home.
Yep.
But I've been very fortunate, honestly, to have good parents.
Well, as my kids grew up, it's hard to be a parent. Especially seeing your kids play sports, and you always want to see your kids be successful. However, I think most of the problems in coaching is over playing time.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. And parents see their kids through a different
And
lens
only
than
their
the
kids.
coach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
only their kids.
Speaking of that, are you planning on coaching your kids? How do your kids love basketball? Are you putting them through the ringer already? Or what?
I try not to put them through the ringer.
Yeah.
I have one who loves sports. He does a pretty good job. He's going in 4th grade. And then I have my youngest son who's not really into sports.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sports isn't for everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I
if he
agree.
wants to be in the marching band, or be in band, or be in some type of, I don't care what he does.
Right.
I just want him to be involved in something and, learn the things that sports teach you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what sports are all about. But I try not to put him through the ringer yet. They're in third grade. Here's the thing. I don't want to push them. I don't want to absolutely just be an animal
Yeah.
when they're in
Yeah.
third grade.
For sure.
Now, I will say when he's playing these third grade tournaments, I turn into it. Like, I have to remove myself from the bench.
Yeah.
Because I'm going crazy, and I think for me, I don't know how you coached your son. I don't know. It's
You know,
we're
one
going to see
thing-
as time goes on.
Yeah.
Do I say right now, do I want to coach him? I believe there's a lot of coaches that could coach him that could do just as good of a job as
Yeah.
I can.
You don't
But
feel like you have to have your hands
no,
on
I
that
do
the whole
not
time?
have- no, I don't
Yeah.
feel like
You
that.
know, Nathan, one thing that we really didn't talk about basketball much at home. We really didn't. We left it at the gym.
Yeah,
and that's something I think that, all coaches with their kids have
But
to try to do.
you were tough on Zach.
In the
I mean,
gym.
you pushed him
Oh, in the
hard.
gym. Yeah, no doubt.
No kid had it tougher than Zach. It's
Right.
hard to coach your own kid without.
And I think once the kids get a taste of that competition,
Yeah.
is when they start to want it more.
Yeah.
Prior to that, there's I'll dribble, but
You guys
once they
think
get that
what
competition-
age you start saying, all right, let's go, we're doing ball handling drills. Right now, I'm just trying to encourage my kids. All right, we all complain that all the kids want to do is play video games, or they
Right.
want to play Fortnite, or
Yeah.
they're on the iPad, right? So I want if they want to do that, we set a timer on their iPad. They're getting under an hour.
There's
on
nothing
the
wrong with
iPad.
that,
They
yeah.
can go outside and play the rest of the
Right,
time.
go
But
do
yeah.
something else.
I'm
It
not
doesn't
even-
even have to be basketball.
I get
or
these
whatever.
discussions all the time. Go play wiffle ball.
Right.
Like, kids don't even do that anymore. I think a lot of just learning how to play sports and being competitive and learning how to win is just go and play in backyard sports.
Yeah.
The kids don't go play flag football or
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my kids.
I-
They walk
I
around
think-
all day and kind of look at each other and
Yeah.
I think it's almost individual on the kid.
I think the kid has to want it.
Yes.
You can't be
yes.
forced upon him. My son plays hockey. He's in youth hockey. He goes every day. So
And he wants to.
Yeah, so he's either shooting in the garage, we have a tarp in the garage, or we're taking him to the ice. But some days when we don't have access or something like, it's a half an hour on this little stick handling device he has to, this machine. But at least he does something for every day. But he wants to do it. Like he's driven to do it. If he wasn't, I can't force that on. It's not going to do him any good
No.
Right.
if I'm forcing him to do it.
I just want my kids to be active. I don't know the age when you go, hey, let's go. But
I think
for us,
they
it was
know
fifth and
it,
sixth
Nathan.
grade. I mean, but
Yeah.
we were in fifth grade before we even played on the team. I mean, think
Right,
what the kids are
different
doing
times.
now.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah, and even in fifth grade, it really wasn't for you guys growing up. It wasn't super competitive.
No,
I mean,
it
it was
was-
these local tournaments.
Exactly.
Now there's AAUs and they're ranking players and
Right.
everything else.
Right.
Before we start talking about our past and how we knew you when you were a youngin', let's talk about what's going on with you. How's your team look this year? What do you think for your basketball team this year?
A basketball team this year. I have a group of great kids.
Good summer.
Good. We had a good summer. Kids showed up. I think COVID they got the taste of what it's. They want to play.
Yeah.
So they were there.
Yeah.
I think this year will be physical. I think we'll play hard. We need some scores to emerge.
Really?
We need a couple scores, but I think if we can score a little bit, we're going to be okay. We're going to
Yeah.
be competitive.
Yeah.
You got some athletes.
We got a lot of football kids that are
Right.
just tough, hard-nosed kids, and they'll get after it, and they kind of pride themselves on that physical play. So that's where we just got to score more than 40 points a game to win. We got to score.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our weakness. But I think if we can find,
But you
some
think you
kids-
can lock some teams down though too?
I think we can play good defense.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're not going to be big.
Is that a
We'll be
struggle
defensive.
for you though? Because you were a scorer. Is it hard for you? Do you
I thought-
struggle with understanding? Why can't you just make that shot?
I mean, I think not really.
Okay.
I think I've coached long enough now that you just know some kids can put the ball in the hoop, and
Yeah.
some kids aren't as good, and you try to establish roles for each of your
Yeah.
players. And the
Right.
kids that are better shooters, I'm sorry, they're just going to shoot more. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. You can only have one best shooter.
That's
Right.
that.
I
yeah,
mean,
right.
so you
that's our philosophy too.
Yeah.
That's
I mean-
how we coach.
and I think the most important thing for high school kids is if you're a 4 rebound, 3 steal guy a day, that's all you do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can sell that to them, those guys are just important as the guy that
I agree.
scores.
Right.
If you don't get your 4 points and your 3 steals, we're not going to win.
The
You've
problem
gotta
is,
go
is
get
when
those.
that kid thinks he's a scorer and vice versa.
Right.
That's when
Parents
you run
think
into
he's a
trouble.
scorer.
Right.
Right, but I think the successful programs are the programs where the kids buy into their role.
Yep.
And another thing that's kind of unique is I was lucky enough to go play in college.
Yeah.
And when you're in high school, I'm not coming out of the game
Right.
very often. I didn't come out of the game, and then I went to college, and I was a role player. I was an average basketball player.
How did you adjust to that?
It was hard.
Yeah.
Super, super hard. I can remember being at Gannon University, and there's 20 people from championship. I didn't even get off the bench.
Yeah.
So I kind of had the perspective of, I was kind of in, I guess, both sides of the coin. Like,
Pretty
and
humbling.
So, yeah, and you learn that you have to work at it.
Yeah.
I know. I remember after that game, I was all fired up. I'm like, I should have been in the game. I'm a freshman playing on a team that was really good, went to the national tournament that year. And my dad's like, you have 3 choices: quit, just be a bench player for the rest of your life and accept it, or go get better.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got better, and I got to play a lot more, and that's why I try to instill in my kids. But I scored 6 or 7 points a game for my career. But I guess the way I look at it is, if I didn't score my 6 or 7 points, we might not win that basketball
For
game.
sure.
So everybody's equally important on the team.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were a good high school player, played in college. Now you coach. What's harder, player or coach?
There's different. I think it's different,
Yeah.
but what's hard about a coach is I feel like you almost care more. You feel like you care more
Yeah.
sometimes than your players.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
So, which will
The
probably lead
players-
to the next question, the next comment.
No, the player. I mean, you lose the game and the player goes on a bus or whatever, and they go out to dinner. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
you're not
And
sleeping
fine.
all night.
And I'm not
Yeah.
sleeping.
You're watching film.
Right, exactly.
So going back to your senior year,
Yeah.
Coach Brazil uses his speech literally every year after that. So that was his first head coaching job, right? Your senior year.
First year.
First year.
We were very good.
Yeah, we were really good.
I always say this.
Go
If
ahead.
I had them today, or
Oh,
even 10
yeah.
years ago, you're undefeated, and you win a district championship.
If we were better coaches when we coached
Yeah.
you, for sure, you
There's
guys
no
would have
question.
had a better
There's no
team.
question. I was a rookie. We had to change you guys' mentality a little bit because you guys didn't win. You guys had the talent, but you didn't win previously. Then we started off so great. I think we started off like 8-0 or something
Yeah.
like that. We're
Yeah.
ranked high in Ohio, and we finished strong. But we
lost like 4 games.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
I think 16-4 or something like that. But there were things we did. We just were young.
Yeah,
We
but
didn't know.
at the same time, like looking back, you guys did a really good job with. You guys did what you had to do with our team. We had some guys that we needed some discipline
Yeah.
that necessarily hadn't been there.
Good players, but
Yeah,
just
I mean,
needed
So
discipline.
before we get into that, tell
Oh,
the
God.
20-year Nate Kish story that you told to every team since.
No, so we were the night before we were going to play Arsenal in the district semifinals. We were stretching, and Nate took a ball from half court and said, "If I make this shot, we get to go home." And I know Nathan didn't mean it the way it came across, but we tell that story
every year. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm just, if everybody knows me, I like to screw around. Go,
Yeah,
oh, we
yeah,
make it. No,
yeah.
we're done with
Yeah.
practice.
But you
No.
were ready to practice.
Oh, I was
There,
ready to go.
there was no,
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
I couldn't
question.
wait to
You were
play
a great
this one.
player. Great
Well,
player.
we used that for every team that wanted to screw around for the next 20 years.
That was distorted bad. That was twisted.
So let's talk about your high school years then. You had a great career at Champion then. All
Yeah,
time,
I mean,
right?
You're one of the greatest
Yeah.
in champion history.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good players in champion.
You're in the
history.
Champion
You
Hall of
are, and,
Fame.
I mean, they had some.
Yeah.
Craig Kuzma
Craig
with
Kuzma,
North Carolina State.
Yeah, he won a national championship with
He
them.
didn't play much, did he? Though, and I don't mean it disrespectfully towards
No.
him. I mean, but
I don't know, but I mean,
I
he's
don't
playing
know.
with David Thompson, and
Yeah.
he's competing with those guys every day. So, he was
and
good.
you were the all-time leading scorer. Just got beat a few years ago. But
Yeah.
I mean, started 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had a great career,
Yeah.
great experience.
Yep.
But, you guys coming in, though, you guys kind of changed that mentality a little bit.
Yeah.
We had guys, Ricky Von Bergen, I always say, is the greatest teammate I've ever had because he had your back no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter
But,
what.
you talk about Greg Virch, I mean, he'll pop in year before he's elbowing Greg Virch on purpose,
On the screen, yeah.
He'll do whatever he could.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you guys kind of ended that stuff where, they're not running a letter for every word, every swear word.
Yeah.
No, I actually keep that, but
Yeah.
just things that we needed. Some kids on our team needed that, and then I think you guys do a really good job. Your whole careers of just getting kids to work hard.
Yeah.
I think that's your strongest, your strongest suit as a coach. You guys
Yeah.
just get your teams always work hard, and I think that you taught us that in that 1 year how to work it. So you can sit there and say, well, we could have had a championship. Either way, you guys I think did a really good job of instilling that in your players.
We always
So,
talk about this story too. We coached against each other one time.
one time, yeah.
Yeah, champion played McDonald about 3
2
years.
years. Well, Braden was a senior.
Braden was a senior. Zach was a sophomore. We played at McDonald.
2 of your top 5 all time.
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
the
for
way.
sure.
And within the first minute of the game,
Also, Nate Kish was in that top 5.
Yeah.
Nate, I had you too. I had you too. I did have you too.
Should have. 2 should have been 1.
I
think we should have won.
I can't put you on.
Hey, I shot 14.6 times a game. I got the sheet. You gave it to me.
Yeah.
22.6 points.
The sheet.
If you just give me 28 shots, I'm at 44, 45 points right there.
Yeah, well, sorry, Nate.
I needed more
put
shots.
You on. Can't put you on. I put you 2 though.
All right, we'll take it.
I mean,
Like,
I
I'm
can't-
really more upset
I
about
can't-
I'm not a grinder.
I can't put you ahead of a 3,000 point score.
Listen, Nate, I've heard the story that you wanted to quit practice before the semis for 19 years. How can I call you a grinder after that?
So we coached against each other a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and within the first minute of the game, the officials had warned both of us.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a super
Did
competitive.
you do that on
game.
purpose, Nate? Did you come out
No,
on
I
one
wanted to beat you. I want
Yeah.
to bury you guys.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you guys have a really good team. You got 2 really, really good players. 2 players are going to play in college.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first year at Champion.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, you're talking about Roy Sembeck. You're talking about, like, Chad Kaiser. And it's not that you don't like them. I want to beat LeBray.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
they've drilled us 7 times in a row. I want to beat them.
Right.
And I feel bad for the poor
Yeah,
refs in
you're
that
friends
game
with them.
because
I mean,
yeah,
you're-
because those games I'm just amped up. Like,
Yeah,
I want to win those games.
Yeah.
In that game, I did not want to lose to you,
And you lost.
and we lost. Yeah, by about 20. Actually,
Well,
really
it was close
close.
until the second half.
It was competitive. It was fun.
Yeah.
I've noticed when I watch you coach, even we spent some time in the summer with you, you're pretty level-headed, but when you coach, you turn a switch. You kind of have a little Jeff in you. There's a lot of similarity between the two of you when you coach.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty, somewhat laid back most of the time.
Right.
Go with the flow, but when competition brings out, I guess it brings out the best and the worst in you. You know,
Yeah.
competition. I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't coach and spend a ton of time in the gym and think about it all night long and figure out ways how can we become better so that I can come in and lose.
Right.
I mean, I just don't want to lose.
Right.
And the other frustrating thing is you tell a kid once or twice, you can tell them again. Like, how many times do you have to tell a kid to do something before they do it and you get mad? Like, think about it for your
Right.
kid.
Yeah.
You tell them to clean their room, they don't clean their room. How many times are you going to tell them to clean their
Right.
room before you get
Right.
lay down the hammer?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think basketball is like that. So you want another frustrating thing? There it is.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. So
What
that's
is
why
your
I turn
biggest
that
pet
switch.
peeve with
That,
the
that
kids
might
this
be
year?
it.
My biggest pet peeve with the kids right now is social media. And it's
You
it's
get
almost
any of
off
that
the
with your
court.
team, or
Yeah,
is
you
that
have
off
any problems
limits?
with that?
I don't know because I don't have social media. I have Instagram.
Well, see,
Yeah.
we have the kids
That's it.
convinced
Yeah.
on our team that we have all their social media accounts, and we go over them every day and make sure they're not writing stupid stuff. But
Oh.
my biggest thing is I hate to see 16, 17-year-old kids go in there and talk about other kids, other teams, and especially other coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't get involved
Don't
in it.
want-
You know, and here's I lived in North Carolina for 3 years.
Right.
And while I was there, I had a coach that I was a varsity assistant. He said, players play, coaches coach, parent. And the way I look at it, and he's like, anytime we try to step in different roles, and referees referee, but you try to step into the role of the referee, it usually becomes bad.
Yeah.
If I become the parent, it usually becomes bad. So I
Right.
try to stay in my role, and whatever they put on social media, I kind of let the parents deal with it. But I've never seen really champion Maplewood kids ever do anything
Yeah.
like that. So I guess I've been fortunate with it. Either that, or I just don't know what's going on. It could be
All
that
right.
too.
So this is your opportunity to air any grievance that you want with Full Court Press.
Coach Higgins,
We've heard
you don't
from
like the grinding thing. Right?
we've heard from a couple champion people that we talk a lot about McDonald on this show.
Never any love for champion.
That's
Why
Right
not
on.
love for champion?
No love anytime. Oh, it's just McDonald.
That's our
You know, you
story.
gave me advice when I took the Lordstown job. You said, Nathan, make sure that this is a job you want, you can win in, because if you go in and your whole career you lose, people aren't going to want you to coach if you go somewhere else. If you come in and you go, yeah, my record is 2-40,
Right.
no one's going to want you. You better
Right.
make sure. Luckily, we had some success.
Yeah, you did.
But the way I look at it is you guys come in and you go, you have winning seasons for 4 straight years. Champion put you guys on the map. And there's no love.
Yeah, like we
Or
look
did
at
we
it.
put champion on the map?
Yeah, we kind of look at it opposite a little
Yeah.
bit.
No love. Put you guys on the map.
Hey,
Well,
listen,
you know-
I say, we had some great teams at Champions,
Yeah.
some great players. I mean, you and your brother Mark, in the big picture, we had more team success at McDonald. Whether that be because of the tradition or a smaller school, whatever it is.
Plus,
I mean,
we were
won
better
6
coaches at
district
McDonald, to be honest.
I like as you said, I
if
would
we
have
would
loved to have you
look
guys.
look
yeah.
inward, we weren't as good at
Your
coaches when we
senior
were at
year was
champion.
one of my most talented teams. And you're clearly the number 2 best player we've had.
So you guys were 16. I get it. You guys were there for 16 years.
Yeah.
I just have to come
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
give you a little bit.
All right.
Well, Greg Virch and DJ Gross like to say, hey, talk more about Champion. And we try to. We try to.
We
throw
just
out
only have a
those
few years of
stories.
stories from Champion. We have a
Yeah.
lot more from McDonald. So what are we doing next? We're going to finish them out with the shot clock?
Yeah,
You want
we're
to
gonna
add
finish out with
anything
the shot
before we
clock.
throw
Yeah.
this at you?
Yeah.
No, I'm ready.
All right.
So the shot clock is 45 seconds. He's going to have rapid fire questions at you. He's going to keep them clean because he's not always clean. But I guess if you want to pass, you can pass. Okay?
All right.
But
All right. When
we
you're
good?
ready, tell me to
All
go.
right, hey, let's go.
You're just
Wanna
going
move
to tell
this
me
up?
one or the other. I'm going to give you 2 options on everything.
Ready?
All right, ready.
Go.
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Be a famous actor or cure cancer?
Cure cancer.
Who's the best player, you or your sister?
Me.
Tough or lost, Bristol or McDonald?
Bristol.
Would you rather have 3 arms or 3 legs?
3 arms.
Blondes or brunettes?
Oh boy. It doesn't matter. Pass.
Would you rather date an older woman by 10 years or a younger woman by 20?
Older.
Dinner with the in-laws. Would you rather have an accidental burp or an accidental fart?
Burp.
Darts or ping pong?
Ping pong.
Brush teeth with a clean toilet water or dirty lake water?
Clean toilet water.
Last question.
All right, most annoying, your wife or your kids?
Oh my gosh.
Pass.
That's it for Shot Clock. That's it for episode
Episode number 5.
Yep.
Episode 6, 2 weeks.
Where do they find us?
Well, they can find us on Twitter at FCPYSN
Yep.
or on Facebook, Jeff Brazil.
We want to thank Nate Kish for being here tonight.
Yep.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
the
having me.
champion
Fun.
stories. Thanks Kevin O'Connell, Superintendent.
McDonald.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stress in his life now.
And our boy Brent was here tonight, so we
Brent
want
was
to thank
here,
them all.
so,
So
yeah, thank
see you
them all.
guys in a
Great
couple
show.
weeks. All right.